This will be my third time hearing REN. My previous two times were High REN and Sick Boy. Both were extremely impactful, very intense, extremely thought-provoking, and in all honesty, quite overwhelming. I received a lot of comments from people telling me that next I should check out a song with more singing, a song that isn't so intense and grungy and kind of dark. And this one we'll be checking out today, Chalk Outlines, was the most suggested. It's with Chinchilla, an artist that I don't know but apparently is a rapper and a singer. Chalk Outlines, released on Christmas Day 2021. I'm kind of scared to talk, but I want to know what they said. I saw like year asset summary, depreciation. It's so eerie, so silent. Eerie setting as well. Just like I've seen in High REN and Sick Boy. A different setting, but very eerie.
Still here in this bed that I crawled in. I hope that I'm someone else in the morning. So take this one, wash it down and you'll be fine. Walk around in a floating chalk outline. So it goes, let it be.
Okay, that's 2 minutes in the video already. When we carry on in just a moment, I will rewind a few seconds. I'll start again from this So It Goes, Let It Be bit. I paused because we have a new chord now, which signifies a new section. Could be a new verse or a pre-chorus or a chorus. And I know I don't have to pause with Ren because he is nice about copyright. Thank you, Ren. But I like to do analysis, I talk, and I will simply forget things if I don't pause every now and then. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what we've heard so far because it's so different to the two REN songs I've heard previously. It's different for obvious reasons. It's far less chaotic, it's calmer, it's softer, more melodic, exclusively singing so far. There's been no rapping, maybe there will be, especially if Chinchilla is a rapper. But it does have similarities here and there. Let's take the opening when the guitar comes in. That's outlining the harmonic structure we're getting. 3 chords, 2 notes simultaneously per chord. And together. This is a similar idea to a portion of High REN. In 2 different songs, we have chord progressions that just use 2 notes played at the same time in thirds, played on guitar. You might think, oh yeah, they must be similar, they must sound alike. But it goes to show, harmony aside, how important the wider musical context is, how you sing, the tempo, if the chords are repeated or you just play them once and let them resonate. You know, many things. And of course, another contributing factor would be the lyrics. It's very apparent to me after hearing just 2 and a bit of his songs, that REN has a way with lyrics. They obviously come really naturally to him. He has a gift for writing them, and he has a lot to write about, I'm sure, because of his personal experiences and difficulties. So what I'll do is I'll say how I construe these lyrics, and I'd like to know if I'm just wrong or if you think otherwise. These songs about personal struggles, I think, can be interpreted completely differently by different people based on their own experiences. I know we've only heard one verse and a little bit, but I think that's enough to talk about for now before we carry on with the rest of the song. Where we paused.
So
If you just look at that line, it's interesting. So it goes, let it be. I immediately am thinking of And So It Goes by Billy Joel and Let It Be by the Beatles. I wouldn't be surprised if this is an homage to those two songs, which are both quite distinctive in terms of their meaning. The first verse,
I'm still here in this bed that I crawled in.
I won't play it all. I'm still here in this bed that I crawled in. I hope that I'm someone else in the morning. That's interesting there. I was talking about resonating chords, but here he's cut it off early, acting surprised, but he doesn't do that again, so that's just worth noting as well. And then the next lines, so take this one, wash it down, you'll be fine, walk around in a floating chalk outline. This is talking about taking medication, supposedly to help you feel fine, but then talking about walking around in a floating chalk outline. Now, my immediate thought when I hear this is essentially someone who's dead inside. Quite extreme perhaps, but the image of a chalk outline makes me think of a corpse that's been marked by a chalk outline. A dead person and walking around in a floating chalk line. I think it's saying that these medications that you're taking, they might make some of you feel better, but they are killing off maybe another part of you, maybe the sentimental part of you or the hopeful part of you, kind of killing off your mental strength maybe. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, so let me know your thoughts. Either way, thought-provoking. Let's carry on with the song.
So it goes, let it be. In the gallows, balanced on my toes so I can breathe. But little by little, bit by bit, I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my, oh my, erase ourselves in these chalk outlines.
Sertraline and a sip of serotonin.
Well, that must be Chinchilla. A lovely airy entry. I love an airy voice. So a good first impression, and look at those nails. Wow, looks quite dangerous. I wouldn't want to get on her bad side. Well, we'll hear more of her in just a moment. I'm still wondering if she's going to be doing rapping in this or not. By the way, as you can see, this is a live version. There is also a studio version, and I will be reacting to that after this one.
Oh my, oh my.
Well, my thoughts currently are I do prefer this version. I prefer the studio version to the live version. Usually I do this the other way round, but pretty much every comment suggesting the song said to do the live version. So here we are. So if you want to see my studio version reaction, that will be linked below in the pinned comment. That's on Patreon. I have a couple of other additional REN videos on there too, which you'll also get access to. All right, so the song has become a bit more alive. 2 minutes in, including the video introduction, is the first time we get some sort of rhythms, not just playing a chord and letting it ring out.
But little by little, bit by bit.
Lovely playing technique, a mixture of plucking and strumming and slapping to essentially give a percussive element using the guitar as well. Really nice. A bounce is introduced, a change.
But little by little, bit by bit.
The lyrics as well, little by little, bit by bit. These are lyrics of change. Little by little, I personally see these as hopeful or motivational or even inspirational words. Playing the long-term game, you know, we'll get there little by little, slowly but surely. Patience. Of course, REN is singing, and I've not seen too much of that, all things considered. I'll get onto his singing in just a moment. I mentioned in Hi REN, my favourite part is when he starts singing, so loads of you suggested I listen to this song. But I first just want to quickly touch on the harmony, the chords that we hear. I believe harmony is really, really important. So we start off with that guitar entry, which is basically the chords the lower line is playing, C sharp, A, E. It's interesting as well because the key is E, but we start with C sharp minor. So we're starting somewhere else on the relative minor. Also, if I play those chords, that fourth chord I've added in, I'm sure sounds familiar. It's a really famous 4-chord pattern used in loads of songs. So I was actually expecting that chord to come in. And then I was expecting, but we don't get it. Later on, however,
Little push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while.
Lo and behold, there is that B chord now in there. It's also worth noting that in this 4-chord rotation, the last chord is C sharp minor, and then he starts singing the next line as that last chord is still playing, and then he repeats the rotation at like halfway through the next line.
The new habit, if not for long, just for.
So it's a clever way of merging and blending lines of lyrics with the chords underneath. They can cross over with each other and overlap a little bit so they don't seem quite so structured and rigid. It seems a little bit more free and flowing. Onto his singing.
But little by little, bit by bit.
The first thing I'm surprised about is the consistency and how high he is singing. He's singing up here, which is pretty much as high as like a choral tenor would be expected to sing. His vocal technique is different though. We can hear it sounds a little bit strained and everything.
I push it back down with a new habit.
He sings very emotionally. When should he strain? When should he use more of an airy sound? When should he come off a little bit? Sometimes he's not quite hitting the note, which really, I don't know, I think it enhances the song a lot, especially when you're talking about trials and tribulations and struggles.
If not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile.
At the ends of phrases, how he kind of lets his natural vibrato come through. He had really rich and strong vibrato earlier on.
Walk around in the floating chalk outline.
Really exaggerated, almost over the top, like someone's shaking him, almost like that. And it creates a really, really interesting effect. A huge contrast with what comes afterwards. Yeah, I'm excited to hear what they do now with Chinchilla. Will they sing in harmony? Will there be rapping? These are my questions. Let's find out. If you enjoy these videos, please consider supporting me. You can buy me a coffee or hot chocolate, join our Patreon for loads of additional content that's not available on YouTube, or become a YouTube member for these groovy emojis and membership badges. All options are linked below, and a special thanks to everyone on the screen. Back to the video.
Sertraline and a sip of serotonin. Don't cry, 'cause there's a pill for everything. Take this one, wash it down and you'll be fine. The feeling goes and you draw a chalk outline.
So it goes, let it be. In the gallows, I'm balanced on my toes so I can breathe.
That's a good line, isn't
But
it?
little by little, bit by bit, I push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my, oh my, erase ourselves. It's such a perfect day.
It's a catchy song, isn't it? How long is left? Just over a minute. I'm starting to think maybe there won't be any rap in this one. And if this song was suggested to me for the singing, maybe it's safe to assume it is all singing. And it's always nice to see duets like this.
Pill for everything.
The same chord progression is repeating. You know, we've heard it before, 2 notes simultaneously. REN is starting to add some differences in there rhythmically, umcha, instead of just playing out the chord and letting them resonate. But also he moves between some notes. The bass note stays the same here, but I think the upper line moves up. Just quickly there.
Take this one, wash it down and you'll be fine.
And then Chinchilla does a similar thing, almost like a call and response with the upper line of REN's guitar. Not only does this add variety, but it helps with different singing techniques. It sounds like she has a high chest voice as well, so I can imagine she's a powerful singer. So choosing when to use her head voice or a blended voice or an airy voice like we're getting here, it really makes a difference.
The feeling goes and you draw
So this is a good line to demonstrate it. The feeling goes in her chest voice.
Feeling goes.
And she's purposefully slightly flat on the goes. You could think of this as a chromatic inflection. It's a more subtle way, instead of going, that's the melody. Almost jazzy, but much more subtle here. And then to further create some extremes, she finishes the phrase lower, but in her head voice, which is typically reserved for the higher voices. And I like this. I think it's an emotional way of singing. We see it with many other artists, especially with big ranges. Dimash is one who comes to mind. He often does this. And then for their duet, it's very, well, kind of opposite in style to a prim and proper choral duet. Why am I saying this? Well, it's just to demonstrate the stylistic differences. I get the impression that each of them are being very free with how they're singing. They have the rough melody, of course, but I think there's a lot of freedom here and, you know, this kind of artistic license, and it leads to this intensity we're getting, like the eye contact between them as well. Even I was being like, whoo.
Big Bobby, I'm pushing back down with a new habit.
But there is still the attention to detail to, you know, come off there on new together and switch into the head voice quickly.
Down with a new habit.
Yeah, really interesting. All right, let's go from where we paused. They were singing about a perfect day, I believe.
It's such a perfect day. Take it just in case. Take it just in case. I'm scared of being okay, 'cause all things change. All things change. It's such a perfect day. It's a beautiful shade. It's a beautiful shade. I'm scared of being okay, 'cause all things change. But little by little, Big Bobby, I'll push it back down with a new habit. If not for long, just for a while, I'll bury myself with a great big smile. Oh my, we trace ourselves in these chalk outlines. Oh my,
Erase ourselves in these chalk outlines.
A cappella ending. I thought it would actually end
little by little, Big Bobby.
like that, but no, then we got guitar again. Real powerful singing at the end there. I also found her, I'm going to call it a Kate Bush type of singing. I found that really cool.
It's a beautiful shade. It's a beautiful shade.
I mean, it's not my favorite part of the song, but it's very artistic. And it's also just not what I was expecting, so I guess that's always a surprise as well.
Scared of being okay, 'cause all things change.
That line might just be my favorite line of the whole thing. I'm scared of being okay because all things change. And you'll notice that they sing that line in unison or in octaves, not in harmony. It might be fair to say if you choose to sing a line in unison, it's to double the power essentially of it. But the way they're singing does not signify that. And I say it's my favorite line, not in a positive way. It's just, I don't know, it affects me the most. It's sad to think when I'm good, things are eventually going to get bad again. So therefore, I might as well always be bad, you know? It's, yeah, powerful lyrical line, that one. Well, I feel like I've been talking for a long while on this one, and I still have the studio version to go and watch after this, which I'm also very intrigued by. How different will it be? Will there be more instruments? Will it just be the same? I don't know. So again, if you want to watch that with me, head on over to the link in the pinned comment. Otherwise, firstly, thank you if you are someone who suggested this song. It is very different to the two really kind of intense other REN videos I've seen, and it's cool. It shows a different side to REN. I've been told he's extremely versatile. I've only seen him 3 times, so I don't doubt that, and I'm sure there's so many cool things out there for me to explore in the future. So if you want to see more REN on the channel, let me know by liking this video. Comment down below REN songs you'd like me to do, and if you'd rather leave an emoji, then today's emoji will be a music emoji, because yeah, this is very musical compared to the other 2 REN videos I've seen. Thank you once again, and I will see you in the next one.